Steve Nash and Jason Kidd were two of the most electrifying point guards of the 2000s, and arguably the two best from that time period. They both had great individual and team success due to their outstanding core vision, and they both had very similar careers. But today, we're going to decide who the better player was. In the 1996 NBA draft, the Phoenix Suns would draft Steve Nash with the 15th overall pick. When Nash arrived in Phoenix, they already had solid point guard depth, and he would be behind veteran point guards Kevin Johnson and Sam Cassell in the rotation. He would only average 10 minutes a game, finishing the season putting up just 3 points a game. But the next year, Nash significantly improved and saw his minutes double as a result, and nearly tripled his point total from his rookie year. In the 1998 offseason, he would be traded to the Dallas Mavericks, and it was in Dallas that he would finally be able to prove himself in an expanded role. He started all 40 games he played in, averaging 8 points and 5.5 assists on a very mediocre 36% from the field. It wasn't until the 2001 season that Nash made the playoffs when the Mavericks finished with a 53-29 record. He upped his averages to 15 points and 7 assists a game, earning him third in the most improved player voting. The next season, Nash made his first All-Star game and first All-NBA team at the age of 27. Then, in the 2003 season, Nash, Nowitzki and company led the Mavericks to 60 wins, which included a 14-game win streak and a conference finals appearance. The next season, he failed to make the All-Star game and lost to the Kings in the first round. Nash then became a free agent and decided to sign with the Suns after being lowballed by the Mavericks. His second stint with Phoenix is when he would have his best career years. The trio of him, Shawn Marion, and Amar'e Stoudemire would go on to have a string of impressive seasons. The Suns' win total jumped to 62 in Nash's first season, more than double the amount of wins they had the prior year. The Suns' incredible turnaround, along with a career-high 11.5 assists, would win Steve Nash his first MVP. He led the Suns to the conference finals and would lose in 6 games to the Spurs. The next season, Amar'e Stoudemire would only play 3 games due to a knee injury, and Nash would carry the Suns to 54 wins. He was named MVP for a second straight year while putting up 50, 40, 90. The Suns again lost in the conference finals, this time to the Mavericks. Steve Nash would continue to struggle in the playoffs, getting eliminated by the Spurs the next 2 years. The next season, Shawn Marion was traded away, and Steve Nash and the Suns failed to make the playoffs. Steve Nash followed up this disappointing season by averaging 16-11 and leading the Suns to the 3 seed. They finally got past the Spurs, sweeping them in the second round. Then Nash lost yet again another conference finals, this time due to the heroic play of Kobe Bryant. Steve Nash would then go on to miss the playoffs his final 2 years with the Suns and ended up signing with the Lakers in the 2012 offseason. Nash's first season with the Lakers, he started to decline and struggled to stay on the court, playing his least amount of games since 2000 due to injuries. He looked like a different player than what he was in Phoenix, and after 2 seasons with the Lakers, he decided to retire from basketball at the age of 40. He finished his Hall of Fame-bound career third all-time in assists and first in free throw percentage at 90.4. He got his jersey retired by the Suns after being arguably their best player in franchise history. Now, let's look at Jason Kidd's career. The Dallas Mavericks would take Jason Kidd with the second pick in the 1994 draft. He put up good all-around numbers in his first year with Dallas, averaging 12 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. Kidd led the league in triple-doubles and won co-rookie of the year alongside Grant Hill. Despite the success he had as a rookie, it was clear that his jump shot was a concern as he shot awful percentages. Next year in the 1996 season, he would increase his production and make his first All-Star team. He was voted in as a starter even though the Mavs could only put together 26 wins. The next season would be his last in Dallas, and Jason Kidd was traded to the Phoenix Suns, mainly due to chemistry issues and off-the-court problems between the young trio of him, Jamal Mashburn, and Jim Jackson. Kidd arrived in Phoenix as an established player and would be the starting point guard over Steve Nash. His first full season with the Suns, he was named an All-Star and led the team to 56 wins. The next year, Jason Kidd would have a monster season. It included averaging a double-double for the first time in his career, leading the NBA in triple-doubles, and being named to both the All-NBA First Team and All-Defensive First Team. After Kidd's successful year, the Suns acquired Penny Hardaway from Orlando. Jason Kidd and Penny Hardaway would get out of the first round for the first time in Kidd's career, defeating the defending champion Spurs. The 2001 NBA season would be his last in Phoenix, and he led the team to another 50-win season. During his 4.5 season tenure with Phoenix, he made the All-NBA First Team 3 consecutive years, led the league in assists 3 years in a row, was named an All-Star 3 times, and made the playoffs every season he was with the Suns. In the 2001 NBA offseason, Jason Kidd was traded to the New Jersey Nets. Kidd's first season with the Nets, he finished second in MVP voting and continued his outstanding play on both sides by being named to the All-NBA First Team and the All-Defensive First Team. He led the team to the number 1 seed in the East and took the Nets to the NBA Finals for the first time in franchise history. They would proceed to be swept by the Los Angeles Lakers. Jason Kidd and the Nets would have another spectacular year in the 2003 NBA season. They made the finals for the second straight year and had a 10-game playoff winning streak. This time they would play Tim Duncan and the San Antonio Spurs. The series was tied 2-2 after 4 games, and then the Nets would lose the next 2 games and get eliminated. Jason Kidd followed up the season by being named to his 5th All-NBA First Team and leading the league in assists. They lost in 7 games in the second round to the Detroit Pistons. In 2004, Vince Carter was traded to the Nets, and him and Jason Kidd formed a very fearsome duo. During the 2006 NBA season, they went on to a 14-game winning streak, and that helped them secure the 3 seed in the East. The next year, the Nets would have a mediocre showing, finishing at 41-41, but the highlight of the year was Jason Kidd averaging a triple-double through 2 rounds in the playoffs. In the 2008 season, the Nets struggled early on, and they decided to trade Jason Kidd to the Dallas Mavericks, putting an end to a spectacular career. The now 34-year-old point guard would join forces with Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas, with the front office hoping they could make a deep playoff push. This did not happen right away, as the Mavericks got bounced by the New Orleans Hornets in the first round in Jason Kidd's first year with the team. The following season, the Mavs had a slow start, but still managed to get the 6th seed in the playoffs. They upset the Spurs in the first round, but would then lose to the Denver Nuggets. The 2010 season would be Jason Kidd's last All-Star season of his career, in which he put up 10 points a game and 9 assists a game. The Mavericks lost in the first round again, and were not living up to the expectation that they would make a deep playoff run after acquiring Jason Kidd. But this would change during the next season. Dallas won 57 games and made it all the way to the NBA Finals. They played against the Miami Heat in their newly formed Big Three. The Mavericks upset them 4-2, and Jason Kidd finally won his first NBA championship. Kidd played a huge role in it, starting all 21 games and averaging 9 points, 7 assists, and 2 steals. The excitement would soon wear off, as the next year the Mavericks were eliminated in the first round, and Kidd averaged career lows in points, assists, and minutes. In the 2012 offseason, Jason Kidd would leave Dallas and sign with the New York Knicks. He played 1 season with the Knicks and struggled heavily in the postseason, and decided to retire from the NBA at the age of 40. Jason Kidd finished his career 2nd all-time in assists, 2nd all-time in steals, 9th all-time in 3-pointers made, 4th all-time in minutes played, and his number 5 was retired by the Nets. With career numbers like that, Jason Kidd will undoubtedly be on his way to the Hall of Fame. Steve Nash and Jason Kidd were both fantastic NBA players, but now we're going to decide who was the better player of the 2 former teammates. The criteria that we'll judge the 2 point guards by is scoring, passing, rebounding, defense, their personal accolades or individual success, and their team success or winning. Neither players were elite scorers, as both players never averaged over 19 points per game in a season, but this category will go to Steve Nash because he averaged slightly more points than Kidd for his career, while also doing so at a much higher efficiency. He was a much bigger threat on offense and barely missed out on averaging 50, 40, 90 for his whole career, while Kidd shot very average percentages from the 3 levels. In terms of passing, they were 2 of the best playmakers of all time. This category was very, very close, as both players averaged nearly the exact same numbers of assists for their careers, and they also both led the league in assists per game 5 times each. But this category ultimately went to Steve Nash, as he had 4 seasons averaging over 11 assists, and Jason Kidd didn't even have 1. There is no question Jason Kidd runs away with the rebounding section of this comparison. He averaged twice as many rebounds a game for his career, and in his prime was a triple-double threat every night due to his rebounding. He had an astonishing 118 career triple-doubles, while Steve Nash only had 3 triple-doubles in his career. Defense also clearly goes to Jason Kidd, as he was one of the best defensive point guards of all time, and Steve Nash, on the other hand, he was a very poor defender. Jason Kidd was named to an all-defensive team 9 times in his career, 4 of which were to the all-defensive first team, and Steve Nash was never anywhere close to making an all-defensive team in his career. Both players had tremendous individual success. Steve Nash won 2 MVPs, something that Jason Kidd never did, despite finishing 2nd in voting to Tim Duncan in 2002. Steve Nash was named to 7 All-NBA teams, and 3 of them were All-NBA first team. Jason Kidd was named to 6 All-NBA teams, with 5 of them being on the All-NBA first team. Jason Kidd was also named the Rookie of the Year and made an All-Rookie team, something Steve Nash didn't do. And although Jason Kidd's resume is very impressive, Steve Nash ultimately wins this category because his back-to-back MVPs give him an edge. Both Kidd and Nash led their teams to memorable regular seasons and playoff runs, but Jason Kidd experienced more winning in his career. He led the Nets to back-to-back finals. He won the championship with the Mavericks in 2011 while playing the 2nd highest amount of minutes on the team, right behind Dirk Nowitzki. And Steve Nash, on the other hand, he experienced great regular season success, but he was never able to make it to the finals, something Kidd did 3 times, which is why he ranks over Nash in this category. But wait, we're not just going to finish with a tie. Since the 2 each ended up winning 3 categories, we'll use their head-to-head matchups to determine the winner. They played 34 career games against each other, and out of these games, Kidd won 19 and Steve Nash won 15. In their matchups, Jason Kidd averaged 13 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds, and 2 steals. And Nash, he averaged 16 points, 8.5 assists, and shot 50, 40, 90. Although it was very, very close, ultimately Jason Kidd comes out on top, as he got 4 more wins than Nash, and he put up better all-around stats. This video just goes to show just how great of a player Jason Kidd was, and how he carved out an extremely impressive career that he gets very little recognition for. This video may be a bit controversial since Steve Nash is probably considered to be better than Jason Kidd by many NBA fans because of those 2 MVPs, But when you break it down, Kidd was better than Nash was in many different aspects. In the area that Nash was better, such as scoring and passing, Kidd was so close behind that it was essentially equal and not a substantial difference at all. Thanks to everyone who watched this, and if you like this video and want to see more videos just like this, make sure to subscribe.